No MBA? Worried that you don't know how to be successful in a business? No problem. I don't have an MBA. I made history in my industry, and I've been a consistent top performer for the last 13 years. So what I'm about to share with you, it is the gold. It's the gold that took me from the average performing pack in my business to a history maker within 12 months. So if you don't have an MBA and you lack the confidence that you know how to be successful in a franchise business, well then this is the video for you. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome. So my name is Kim Daly and I'm a franchise consultant. And for the last 20 plus years, I have been helping people just like you say yes to the dream to own a franchise by aligning their background, interests, skills, finances, and life goals to some of the best franchise opportunities out there today. Now, if you get inspired to begin your own journey and you want to work with Kim Daly, the whole point of Kim Daly TV is to invite you to want to work with me. Stay with me until the end of the video, and I will share how you could be my next candidate. Okay, so you don't have an MBA and you're feeling a little insecure about your ability to validate the numbers. Let's be real. The number one reason you want to invest in a franchise is money, money, money. And the number one reason you're going to walk away from the franchise is money, money, money. You can't figure out how to make money. So that's going to be the point of this video. Now, I get it. It can be a little bit of a daunting task if you've never run a business before and you don't have any prior business courses or experience behind you. Just like Kim Daly, I'm a nutritional biochemist. I had never taken a business class. I was on my way to medical school. And did you hear what I said in the beginning? I made history in my business. So throw out the head trash and the negative beliefs that you need an MBA. You don't need an MBA. You need 4 simple numbers. 4. And that's all you'll ever need. And you can build any business you want. You can control any business you own. And you can consistently produce the outcomes that you want. You need 4. How many? 4. Say it again. 4. You need 4 numbers. I'm a little frisky today. All right. So, what are the 4 things that you need to know? And before I tell you what they are, let me just say this. What I'm about to share with you is going to set you free from ever needing an earnings claim. Who cares about earnings claims? You know what? Everybody puts all this weight on an earnings claim. So, an earnings claim is the average student, it's the C student in the group. Are you investing your life savings to go be the C student? I sure hope not. You want to be the A plus student. So, looking at earnings claims, if anything, all it does is set a limiting belief in your nervous system because you're aligning to that earnings. And then you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put that money in and I'm going to make that kind of money out. Well, that's fundamentally flawed for so many reasons, but I get why you think that. But on a higher level, that's not what you can produce. There's more that can be produced. And anyway, earnings claims are always going up. So you're investing in the business for where it's going, but you're looking back to past earnings claims because that's all that can be in the FDD. So you're looking back at numbers from the past, but you're making a future investment decision about the future potential opportunity. It's really mind blowing to me how much weight people put on earnings claims. I just want to set you free from that. Who cares about what they're claiming? What matters is where is the business going, who is doing the business, and what's the future potential opportunity. And then ultimately, all you have to do is show up with these 4 things that I'm about to share with you. And that's going to help you build any business that you want. This business ownership game, it's way simpler than most people believe. What happens as business owners is we get in and there's all these things we have to focus on. And so we get lost and we get overwhelmed and we feel insecure because we've never done this. And we start playing this negative record in our mind. And then by the law of attraction, whatever you start to focus on, negatively or positively, is what you attract to you. And so then you start realizing all the things that are your deepest fears and concerns because they're your dominant thoughts about your lack of confidence or your lack of ability. And that's what you end up making true in your business. So turn off the record player, lean into the video, get a notepad and a pen because the 4 things I'm about to share with you is all you need to build the business of your dreams and to always feel 100% in control of where you are. Now, one more thing before I give you the four things. How do I know this? Why do I say this with such confidence? This is what I've done. It's what I did back in 2011 that took me from the average pack to 12 months later, a history maker. I grew my business by 350% in a 12-month period, in a 1-year period, because I woke up to the idea of only one of these four things. It wasn't actually until the second year, which was now my 10th year of business, that I really thought about the four things. So really, you don't even need four. You just need one. Well, let me explain. So I use what I'm sharing with you, and I've used it for the last 13 years. And that's what's kept me consistently growing and achieving and being a high performer. Do you know, I've never slipped back to the average pack. Once I saw the light, I knew exactly how I had to show up. And so I'm committed. I have integrity. When I say I'm going to do something, I follow through. So because of that, I've consistently been a high performer for the last 13 years. Now, would you like to feel in control of your business? Would you like to avoid the average pack for 8 years and go straight to the top of the pack? Would you like to just always feel like you know exactly what you have to do in order to be in control and build the business of your dreams? Of course you would. The number one reason you're going to walk away from exploring a franchise is because you don't feel that way. The reason you're going to say yes is because you believe you feel that way, because you're basing it off of earnings claims and some validation from other people. But Kim Daly wants you to actually feel confident on your own, stable on your own 2 feet. That is what I want for you. So, what are the four things? Okay, let's get into it. The universe operates by order and action. Every single thing that's created in the world, including the world itself, was created first by order and then by action. So, what that means in your business is order equals clarity. What do I want? So that's the first thing I want you to write down on your piece of paper. What do you want? And I mean, don't think small. This is not the time to think small. What do you want? The second thing is action, but not just any action. There's too many franchise owners out there doing all the things, and they're spread too thin. And that energy creates a feeling of scarcity and lack and overwhelming and frustration. And by the law of attraction, what you're putting out, the universe mirrors back. So that's what you get back. And your greatest fears and insecurities become realized in your business. So if you want to create something of abundant, you got to think abundant thoughts. So here's what I did the first year that I made history. I said to myself, if I want to make, let's say, $1 million, okay? That's the goal. What does Kim Daly want? $1 million. What do you want? $1 million is a nice number. Let's use $1 million. Okay, so that was the first thing. I knew exactly what I wanted. The second thing I started to ponder was, how do I make more money? Well, I have to help more people get what they want. How do I help more people? Well, I have to have more people. The whole idea that I grew my business by 350% in 12 months, it's ridiculously simple. It's all based on math. So I tripled the size of my pipeline and I tripled the size of my revenue. This is not rocket science, people. I never said it was going to be. That's why the video said no MBA, no problem. You don't need one. So, order, what do I want? Action, the inspired action. So the thought that I asked myself was, what would happen if, instead of looking at my business as a consulting business, I looked at my business as a prospecting business? Because the reality is, I'm only a consultant if I have a prospect. And if I want to help more people get what they want, I need to have more people in my pipeline. So translate that to your business. Because here's the thing. All businesses are exactly the same. There's really only two major problems that all business owners have to solve for. And the first one is customer acquisition, which is what I'm about to share with you in this video. And the second one is staffing, right? Sometimes you're the CEO running your business through a team of people, and you need the people that are in those positions to be able to carry out what I'm going to share with you. But ultimately, all businesses have to carry out what I'm going to share with you. And if they carry it out, they're going to be winners. And if they don't, they're going to be average or losers. It's really that cut and dry. So the inspired question, well, I want to make more money. I need to help more people. So that means I need to find more people. So how do I do that? And that was the skill that I had to grow into in that 1 year. Now, I had no ability to prospect because I used to just pay money, marketing dollars, and leads came to me. And when I had leads, I was happy. And when I didn't have leads, I was miserable. But I got over that. I said, okay, I can figure this out. I was a summa cum laude graduate, nutritional biochemistry. I'm a pretty smart girl. I can figure out how to find people that might want to explore a franchise. So take it to your conversation. If you're in a home service or you're selling elderly care or you're selling a service or a product for children, whatever it is, you know who your customer is, and you have to solve to find more of those people if you want to make more money. So if you jump right from, I'm going to put this money into my franchise and I'm going to make this earnings claim, it's fundamentally flawed all over the place because you have to grow into the owner who can learn to serve those people in a certain way. And when you serve the people in a certain way, then you make money. So this is why looking at earnings claims, number one, it's totally absurd. It doesn't tell you anything about who those owners are, how they have to show up, either leading through a team of people or showing up in front of their customers in order for you to make the money. So you can't just use an earnings claim and decide whether you can make the kind of money you want in this business and if this is the right business for you. So there's that. That's a little bit of a tangent right now. Now, back to this. So I wanted to learn to prospect to find more people so that I could help more people so that I could make more money. So the first year I did this, the only thing I solved for was finding people. That was the only thing. So if that's the thing, take away from this video, that's all you need. If you just correct your thinking like, oh, I don't own a painting business. I own a prospecting business that looks for people who want homes or rooms painted. Whatever your business does, if you're in a dog walking business, I don't walk dogs. I'm in a business that's looking for people who want their dogs walked. That's what you have to do. And then put yourself like in that scenario. Who are those people? Where do they go? How do I find them? How do I attract them? How do I talk to them? And develop some skill and make it a game. And have fun with it. Because the more fun you have, the more people want to work with you. Everybody wants to walk into a business that feels thriving and energetic and fun, right? Well, you as the owner hold the power to that fun factor. So make the prospecting piece, which nobody ever wants to do, make it fun. And there's a way to even make it fun, which I will stop and talk about right now, which is removing the resistance from it, right? The reason people don't like to prospect is, oh, it's not comfortable asking people to sell. I don't want to sell anything and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable and I don't want to put myself out there. They're going to reject me. They're going to say no. Like, get over it. And the easiest way to remove all of the resistance from that is instead of when you're going out to prospect, the person that you're meeting, you're looking through them. You're talking to them to find out who they know. And so you start with something like, hey, did you know that this is what I'm now doing? And then you say, so I'm talking to you because everybody knows somebody who, that's the key line. Everybody knows somebody who. Everybody knows somebody who might get laid off or who has been laid off or who's dreamed of owning a business or who's looking for the next investment. Translate it to your world. I'm just giving you my world. Everybody knows somebody who wants their house painted this summer or looking to remodel and needs a painter. Everybody knows somebody who has a dog and they work too much and it would be really awesome to have somebody to walk that dog a couple of days a week. Translate it to your business, okay? So everybody knows somebody who takes all of the pressure off of the call. It's not a cold call anymore. It's a networking call. You're just telling people this is who you are, this is what I do, and who do you know that might want what I have? And then you get a warm lead, and all of that cold chilliness goes away. All right, so that's a little extra in this video. So now I have a prospecting business, so I have to set out to prospect every day. So at the top of my piece of paper, what do I want? We said $1 million. So the next thing underneath that, the number 2 thing that you need is the average ticket. So what is an average customer worth to you in your business? Now this you can pull from an earnings claim or from validation with other owners, okay? So in this fictitious scenario, I'm going to say that an average customer is worth $5,000. Okay. So if I want to make $1 million and I have an average ticket of 5,000, easy math, I need 200 customers to make $1 million. So if you have 365 days and you need 200 customers to make $1 million, does making $1 million in a year suddenly seem so hard? I hope not. right? 200, it's not even one per day. It's not even one sale per day. And if you're an expert, whatever it is you're selling, you can't get good at selling one customer per day. If not, maybe this isn't the right business for you. Okay. But let's just say, okay, that does seem a little bit lighter. So you start to ask yourself, Kim, if business ownership is really this simple, why isn't everybody making all the kind of money they want? It's a great question. And you know why? Because the universe operates by order and action. And most business owners don't have order, they don't know what they want, and they don't take the right action. They're taking action, they're putting a lot of effort out, but effort is not the same as action. That's the inspired action. So I just told you there's a lot of things you got to do as a business owner, but the number one thing that's going to drive the greatest financial result in your business is having more people in your business, prospecting. The only other thing it could be is managing teams of people, finding those employees and keeping those employees. Really, those are the only two problems we have to solve for and become experts at. And the reality is, in all businesses, it's always prospecting because even if you're managing through a team of people, if you don't have customers, you don't really need a team of people. So it always flows back to how do we find these people who want what we have? And you can't be looking at your franchisor to do it for you. I mean, they're going to have like ideas and they know who the customer is, which is a lot of the battle, right? Defining the customer avatar and having the marketing plans. And they can teach you what other people are doing and the approach when you go out and all of that. But you still have to put the effort out and you got to go do it. And you have to massage that in your market and the economy that you're in and with your personality. Like in my industry, I was the first person as a franchise consultant to build a social media platform. Like nobody told me to do that. But before that, I was the first person to go and host live events. Nobody told me to do that. They told me that I had to find people who wanted to talk about a franchise, but they didn't tell me exactly how. But I grew up on the stage. I love an audience, clearly. And so I took it upon myself to go create audiences that I could go speak to because that was fun for me. For other people that do what I do, hell no, that's not fun, right? They don't want to get in front of a group of people. They're better one-on-one. So I massaged what I had once I started thinking clearly and made the business my own. And so when you meet me and you're like, wow, Kim, you have so much fun and you're so inspired and you have so much passion. I have passion because I'm doing what I love to do in a way that I love to do it. Does that make sense? So you got to figure out how to make what you're doing your own, whether it's building a fun social media page or getting out in the community and just shaking hands or sponsoring Little League and being at every Little League game with like your mascot or, the things that make you engaged and have fun where people get to know you. Those are the things that if they speak to you and you're having a good time, that's where that inspired action is going to turn to the greatest amount of return. So, first thing, what do I want? $1 million. The second number you need to know is what is your average client worth? Now, over time, you can increase that. Once you get control over what you're doing here, you can go, all right, well, what if I sold this instead of that? My average ticket could be 10,000. Yeah. And then the number of customers you need to make $1 million, just cut in half. But right now, if you're just getting your arms around, I want to buy a franchise and I want to have control, this is how you do it. You get in the game and then you keep getting better at the game. You can't try to get better from the sideline. You can't get down into the weeds and dot all the I's and cross all the T's. Trust me. A lot of people do it. I watch them do it every single day, even in my own pipeline, even when I say, I wouldn't do it that way, but I have to say, look, it's your process. Do it your way if that's what makes you happy. But I'm telling you, there's a better way to do it. But I can only do what I can do. Okay, so that's the second thing. Now, the third thing then is what is your closing ratio? Okay, so if we know that we need 200 customers in order to make $1 million, well, we need the belief of how hard do I have to work to find 200 people that will say yes? So what does that look like out of the network of franchisees? What does the franchisor say from training? What's an expected closing ratio? Ultimately, your closing ratio will be owned by you. When I first started in my business, we didn't gather any KPIs, but when I started gathering KPIs and paying attention, I think I was like 1 out of 8. Meaning I had to have 8 people go to a meet the team day to find one person that would buy a franchise. Like, that's insane. It's not a sustainable business model, but I ran that way for 8 years, which is why I was average performing. And many of you out there, if you already own a business and you're watching this, you may be like, wow, I should have had a V8 moment. That closing ratio should go down and go down and go down. But That's after you've produced a financial result, right? Again, we're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to create money. And here, $1 million with an average ticket of 5,000, and we need 200 customers. So let's say the closing ratio is 1 out of 3. So that means that we need to generate 600 people who are interested in this fictitious business, and I need to close 1 out of 3 of them. And the average of what I sell to them needs to be $5,000. And if I do that in the course of a year, then I have $1 million business. Now, does this seem so hard? I don't think so. Okay. So now it just comes down to effort. So now what I want you to do is I want you to look at the calendar and I want you to figure out how many days your business is actually open. Now, if you're in a sales business, and let's say that you have something that's installed and you install 6 days a week, I want you to build your sales plan off of 5 days a week. Okay. Now, I am going to be generous and I'm going to give you the equivalent of 4 weeks of vacation from year one in your business. So 48 weeks instead of 52 and only 5 out of 7 days. So multiply 48 times 5. I already did the math. It's 240 days. Okay. So we're going to work 240 days. And what did I say? We needed 200 customers saying yes in 240 days. And we have $1 million business. Do you need an MBA for this? This is really easy. Okay. So I did say we needed 600 people total, though. So this is where you work with the franchisor to figure out the marketing and then what you have to do in networking. But now that you know the number, it makes it like you can attack it. It's not this vague, unknown thing. I need 600 people. This is a science. This is what you can control. Now, here's the other thing that you can control. So when you go out on those sales calls and you hear no all the time, you're not freaking out, because in this scenario, you're going to hear no 2/3 of the time. That's way more no's than you're getting yeses. So the no's have to come. Most salespeople, they get so sucked into somebody saying no to me, they lose their faith in what they're doing and they keep changing it. And then you never really know what's working and what's not working, when all along it was probably just the sales cycle. And you had to get better at presenting what you're doing, coming up against the objections, focusing in with more confidence, believing that people want what you have. And then those closing ratios would be right where they are. They'd continue to get better. These are all things that you learn. This is the art of running a business that you learn over time. So, in this fictitious scenario where I'm working 240 days, I'm going to divide that down to get ready for it, my daily goal. So what this is going to break down to is if I need 1 customer per day to say yes, but I'm 1 in 3, then I know that I need 3 appointments on the books every day. In a 5-day work week, I need 15 appointments on the books. So that, my friends, is the only number I want you focused on every single day. Getting your 15 appointments on the books. And then as you go out or your salespeople go out and people are saying no, you're gathering the no's. You cannot go straight to the yes. You're not going to learn anything if everybody says yes to you. That's not real life. You learn when people say no. And when people say no, it is not on the customer. It is 100% on you, the owner or the salesperson. So if you give the control to the customer, you can't fix it. So you've got to own the no. You're going to own it if it's a yes, but so you got to own it when it's a no. But here's the thing. Who cares if it's a yes or a no? When you're learning, you can get better. So if everybody's saying no, that's one thing. But again, if you're hearing no 2 out of 3 times, that's just the math problem. That's the math problem that we're working from. So every week you have 15 appointments on the books. You're not focused on the 10 people that said no. You're focused on the 5 that you need to say yes. And some of them may buy something that's 3,000, and some of them may buy something that's 10,000. All you need is the average of what's happening in that 5-day period to be $5,000. And you never have to worry, how am I going to build $1 million business? You build it one $5,000 sale at a time. You build it 1 week at a time where you are focused on 15 appointments and closing 1 out of 3. That's all you got to do. And you don't need an MBA for that. You don't need anything other than this video on repeat. So the number one thing that has made Kim Daly a top performer, a history maker, and one of the most consistent, high-performing franchise consultants in the United States of America for over a decade is this simple plan that I gave to you. Nobody believes me. I don't know if I expect you to believe me. There are other consultants who are like, oh, I can't be Kim Daly. Yes, you can. Kim Daly wasn't Kim Daly for the first 8 years. I woke up to the inspired idea that I'm not a consultant. I'm a prospector. Because if I want to make more money, the thing that is mine to control is how many people know that I'm here to help them explore franchising, not how many people buy a franchise. I don't have control over that. And when I did try to have control over that, there's no integrity in that. And there's no freedom for people. So you don't want me controlling your life. It's your life to say yes or no to. It's not my job. And you don't have to care in your sales process if somebody goes with that competitor or somebody decides, hey, after all, we decided not to paint our house this summer. Or hey, you know what? We decided we can walk our own dog. You don't have to care if you have enough people coming to you. If you're doing what is yours to do, which is controlling how many people out there know that this is what you do, and you're working from this simple sales plan, you don't have to care when people say no. If everybody's saying no again, you gotta care. But in this fictitious scenario, 2/3 of the time, you're gonna hear no, and that's perfectly acceptable. That's the plan. Now, as you get better, you can figure out how to help more people want to say yes, because if they invited you into their home, if they ask for your help, chances are they want to say yes. So if they're not saying yes, again, own it. How can I set this up better? How can I position what I do better? How can I become a better relationship builder? How can I build more trust and credibility and rapport faster? These are all techniques and tools that you can learn through a coach, through books, through podcasts. You can get better at that. And the better you get at it, that 1 out of 3 can become 1 out of 2. And sometimes, depending on the lead source, you may be 1 out of 1. If you're smart enough to go look for referrals, let's say you have a home service business and you align yourself to some really productive real estate agents. Well, when the real estate agent says, hey, we want to do this in your house before we put the house on the market, I recommend you call so-and-so. The homeowner's probably not calling around. They're probably calling you and booking a job. That's what I mean by getting a closing ratio down to 1 out of 1. That's what I mean if you've ever heard me say you can create your own economy. That's what I mean. You just created your own economy because those referred lead sources that come from sources that are good like that, they're not shopping around. They're not bargaining for a price. They're looking to get the job done. They're saying yes to you because they were referred by somebody that they already know, like, and trust. And again, how do I know all of this? I know it because I live it, and I've lived it for over a decade. So I hope that I've made my case to you. You don't need an MBA to go on and live the life of your dreams in your franchise, nor do you have to be out there flustered and frustrated and overwhelmed if you're already a franchisee. The clarity that you need is right here in this video. I need to know, what do I want, how much money, and you can manipulate these numbers any way you want to make any outcome that you want. How do I know that? Because I've done it in my business. So top line revenue, what is my goal? What is my average client worth to me? How many unique customers do I need? And what is that closing ratio? And if you have a business where you have a reoccurring retention rate, instead of a closing ratio, the last question you want to know is the retention rate. How long will these people stay with me? And you don't have to worry when they quit because you're always going to be replacing them with new people. And you know what? You may be happy when people quit because you're like, good riddance. I didn't like serving you anyway, and now you've cleared the way for somebody new to come into my life and into my business. So do you see how controlling what is yours to control sets you free from worries of competition, economies, really everything that worries you? The reason you're worried is you're giving control to things outside of you. And here in this video, Kim Daly is sharing with you how to absolutely take control of everything that is yours to control. And when you do that and you're operating from clarity or order and inspired action, the world is your oyster. So don't go get that MBA. Invest in the franchise. And if you're ready, you know that I want to be your franchise consultant and your daily coach. Please follow the link in the description right now because I can't wait to meet you.